Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's study session. We're going to be talking about CG Links tonight. So do you want to kick this off, Larry, or do I hand it right over to Deb? Or Stephen?
Yeah, I guess tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the fairs. We've been talking about it for some time, and it went through committee, and I'm just going to turn it over to Deb. She's got it all prepared for us.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you for having me this evening. And I do want to share some information about the service as a whole, but mostly we'll talk about the fairs and the new policies that we're proposing. This is just a simple reminder that this is the service area with which we operate. It's about 6 square miles. We serve everywhere at the promenade, within the pink zone in the denser southern part of the city, and then we do go up to the recreation center and the medical buildings and other businesses that are at the corner of Pert and Courtson. And I also want to mention that we have 4 bus stops within our service area, the only 4 bus stops that the CART operates. So we're building some possibility of transfers between the 2 different services. So as you may recall, the transit implementation plan actually included 6 phases over a 5-year period. We're in phase 1 right now. We're about to go into phase 2 with the launch of fairs. And then very soon after that, we'll go into phase 3, which is the start of year 2. And the significance of phase 3 is we're going to introduce Saturday service. So we'll be operating 6 days a week, 7 to 7, 12 hours a day within the same footprint. And of course, we'll have fairs. So with the implementation of our fairs, we are required by the FTA to hold a public hearing. Anytime there's any service change or change to fares significant, even if you reduce your fares, you need to do this. So we held a meeting, a public hearing here in Council Chambers, February 29th. And I went over the fare structure and the proposed fare policy. I will tell you that we had 8 people attend. 1 member from the public, 2 TAC members, the contractor, and some city staff. So I did get to present to the public. We did post the PowerPoint on the transit website, and so other individuals may have looked at it at that site. I did receive 5 phone calls asking me about it, but not necessarily giving me questions, or a comment, just asking some very basic non-comment questions. Prior to the public hearing, we had 2 postings in the local newspaper, which is required by the FTA, but we blasted it through rider alerts that are in all the vehicles, the buses, libraries, Dorothy Powell Center, Recreation Center. Through the Rider app, we blasted it out to all the folks that are using our service on a regular basis. And then there were other venues like the Gila Pinnell Rides group, CG Links, different mailing groups from agencies and services within the community. And of course, it was, as I mentioned, on the webpage and then pushed out through social media. So I think we made very good progress as far as meeting the requirements and beyond what was required. Then after the public hearing, we had a 4-week open comment period, and I received 3 comments from the public. 1 was a phone call, 1 was a comment card that was handed to me, and 1 was a comment card online. So I'm not sure what that means, but we did receive 3 comments, and nothing blaring or unsatisfactory. Now what I'd like to do is talk about the proposed cash fare structure. And first I'd like to mention, though, that we have 2 different passenger types, and this is very typical in transit. You have the regular fared or full pay-in, if you will, and then a reduced fare category. And those are typically disabled people, maybe a senior group, youth, and the new trend is the disabled veterans. And it's a special category. They don't necessarily always qualify as a disabled person under the ADA, but by designation through the VA, they do. And so this is a trend that we see happening a lot. So the trip, and we've discussed this in different presentations, but back a few years in the original 5-year transportation plan, the $1.50 was the fare that was bounced around that we would start with. So based on that and the guidance from before, that's where we're proposing that the regular fare be, and then those folks that fall under the reduced fare category would be $1.25. So they're getting a discount just by virtue of that category. We did look into going with a cashless system, and it was a great idea for many reasons operationally. But the FDA doesn't like that because it's federal money. We need to use, we don't need, what they're concerned about is that we would be discriminating against people that are underbanked or unbanked. And these are actually new terms to me because I'm not a finance person, but it makes sense. So we scrubbed that idea pretty quickly. So you can pay with cash, or if you use the Rider app, you can preload funds, and then you don't have to fiddle with cash when you're boarding the vehicle. And that's also nice because we do look for exact cash, and if you went to the ATM and you only have a $20 bill, our drivers don't make change, so that's not going to work out very well. And in our plan, these fares would be effective on June 24th. Let me go to the next fare type, and this is what we're calling a discounted e-pass. So we originally wanted to have a monthly pass, and it would give you unlimited, you pay a reduced fare, and you get unlimited trips during that period. It could be a calendar month, or it could be a month from the day you begin using it. And we wanted to have a 20-ride punch pass for those folks that are going to ride the bus, but less frequently, and they don't want to fiddle with cash. Well, as it turns out, after numerous meetings between the finance department, with the contractor, and then the software company, Rideco, the Rideco system supports a punch pass much better. And we can offer it at a discount to passengers at a 10% discount. So essentially, what we're proposing at this point is if you want the 10% discount with this e-pass, again, you don't need to hold, there's no physical card, it's all uploaded. If you are a regular passenger, for $27, you get $30 in value, or that's good for 20 one-way trips. Everything's based on one way, never round trip. If you're a disabled or a reduced fare passenger, your $27 is also going to give you $30 in real value. But because they pay a lesser fare, the $1.50 to $1.25, you will actually receive 24 one-way trips. Now, when you purchase in this $27 denomination or allotment, we consider that a bulk purchase, and you're automatically going to get the discount. But if you just upload any other number, 10, 20, 30, you fall outside of that discount. And I know it sounds strange, but we had to come up with a number that would work within the system to identify it as a discounted pass. The points of sale. Well, people can walk up to the finance department and with a check, credit card, cash, debit card, they can actually purchase their e-pass at the window where people pay bills and do other things, or they can call up and get the same sort of service. Our finance department will be able to go into the software and upload that information. You can yourself go online and upload your credit card information, or you can use your CG, when I mean upload, I mean using the Rider app, or you can call the dispatchers, because we do have live people there, and they can upload it for you. If you don't want to, if you don't have a smartphone or computer, or it's too confusing, you can do that as well. I will tell you that your credit card information, only the last 4 numbers are shown. It's protected through the software. So if our dispatchers take your order and they say, or when you're booking a trip in the future, they'll say, okay, we've got your trip. Shall we put this on your card ending in 1234? And then the individual will say, yeah. That's all they know. They don't know anything else. Oh, let me go back to this slide 1 minute. I have a little note there. We have actually 80 to 85% of all trips that are scheduled are done on the Rider app. You know, just as I'm surprised with the number of people that are using this service and the popularity, I'm equally surprised by the number of people that are using the apps, and it's across all ages. It's not any target age group. So I think that's fascinating, and I wanted to share it with you. So now we're going to look at the policies, because these are not just general riding policies, but these are specific. So obviously, we're going to talk about what the fares are, what for either the regular or reduced fare, the two different types of ways you can pay for service. There's the youth category. Then we get into a little bit of details on people that are using a mobility device. Are they going to stay in their seat? Do they get a transfer in their device, or do they want to transfer to a seat? If you're traveling with a bicycle, we need to know. Actually, last month we had 32 bicycles that rode with us, and that's growing. So if you show up and we come to get you and you have a bicycle, but both of the slots, each vehicle will hold two bicycles, and they're full, we won't be able to accommodate you because we can't take that in the vehicle. So these are the kinds of things we need to know, and we want to let people know ahead of time. And we again talk about the where to purchase the discount, or how to purchase a discount e-pass. But we also wanted to call attention to a special type of passenger called a PCA, or personal care attendant. These are individuals that help you perform your trip. They do something for you. They have a job and a function. So they're assisting you like your mobility aid, and so they ride free. They're actually kind of considered equipment, if you will, and they're not charged. But they have to be identified as a PCA when you book your trip. We talk about the reduced fare and who's eligible: the senior, a disabled person, a disabled vet, youth between the ages of 6 and 15. We'd love to have them ride with us, but how do we verify who they are to be able to receive the reduced fare? So we will have a verification application and a simple process. I think we'll speak to that again in another slide, where you fill out the form and you provide the documentation. We review it. If we have questions, we call you. Otherwise, we will immediately upload it into the software and make you eligible for the reduced fares, because you can't just say, hey, I'm a disabled person, without the verification. This is what I was speaking to a moment ago, the categories, what you need to provide in addition to the application. And this does include, for the youth, the parent would sign the application and not the regular fared person. So I thought it would be important if we took a look at the other agencies, around the state, mostly close by, and just see how we fare with them. And we've touched on this a little before. One thing I want to point out right off the bat is that Coolidge not only operates the regional service and their local service, but they also have this on-demand service for some of the perimeter areas, the more rural sections kind of to the south of the city, and their fare it's $1.50, but that's for everybody. Or you can, for a one-way trip, or you just pay $3 to the driver and you ride all day unlimited. Avondale, Goodyear, Surprise, they operate the same RideCo software that we do. They have a different fare structure, $2, $1. They did it for ease, and they didn't want to deal with coin. That's the only difference. Those three cities are under one contract with Transdev, another operator. So everything they do is similar, and it's like one big service, but within the different service areas. Chandler and Prescott, they operate a different software program, but nevertheless, these services are true microservices. And what that means is, or microtransit, what that means is you will call the driver directly. You don't go through a dispatcher, so you have to use the Rider app, which may not be good for everybody. They have virtual stops that you have to walk to. Like in some of our neighborhoods, we have like mailboxes where everyone goes to pick up their mail, right? Well, with a virtual system, they may create a virtual bus stop at the mailboxes. And that's where we pick you up and we drop you off. They don't do curb to curb like we do. So that's true microtransit. We're a hybrid of that. We'll come to your curb. We'll get you as close to the curb or as close as your destination as possible. But I will say, we do have some virtual bus stops. The 7-Eleven on Cottonwood Lane. There's a lot of people that live north of Cottonwood that we can't go to because they're out of the service area. So they walk down, and we meet them at 7-Eleven because that's and it's working out perfectly. In fact, the passengers are the ones that started suggesting it, and they created it on their own. So I think that's very inventive, and I think that that's an indication of the savviness of a lot of the riders we have. Other than what we are proposing for the e-pass and what Coolidge offers for their regular service, the other services will not offer any sort of an e-pass. It's just cash and go, or everything would be on, it's cash and credit card. And Maricopa doesn't really offer microtransit. They have a flex route and they have a general public dial ride. But I wanted to show what their fares are just for comparison since they're nearby. I think we have a pretty robust marketing and outreach plan with help and coordination through the PIO office. And in addition to that, there is a member of the public, and this individual will help us with a lot of the outreach and the social media activities that are going to be associated with launching this. And I will do everything in my power to be everywhere as much as possible and deliver the news firsthand, because it does seem to go further, and then the information gets disseminated. So that's been a really good process so far. After we launch, we'll of course keep it up, but then scale back as time goes by. Everything will be on the website, so we're welcome to take information and comments that way, or they can call, or they'll speak with the dispatching staff and the contractor to receive information they need. Down the road, we're thinking very hard about introducing a voucher program. So this would be for nonprofits and social serving agencies that really serve the target some of the target population where we have that's using the service. They can purchase these vouchers at a discount and then hand them out to their client, and they would be for a one-way pass. And this is good because these members of the community may not otherwise be using the services, or because they don't know how, or maybe they don't speak English very well, or there are some sort of barriers. So this is how we can engage more with the community and build some partnerships with these other services and agencies. And then we would make sure that the entities involved follow the spirit of the program, that there's that eligibility. So we're not quite there yet. We haven't worked out all the details. But this is a program that's used in a lot of transit services, and I've used them in areas I've worked before. And then this is our timeline. After today, we meet with TAC next week. We're looking for a recommendation. I'm looking for a recommendation. We will come back on May 6th to City Council. And then we have that period of outreach, marketing, preparing. Our city finance department will be getting some additional training. And that, in a nutshell, is my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Donna, go ahead.
Well, and I had a couple questions, and Deb answered them, but in thinking about something else, and I know that we've talked about the service animals versus emotional support and stuff, but when we talked about where they can purchase, like if they go to finance, because finance is 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, has there been any thought of how we might be able to have a place where people can go and do their purchase that may have odd hours? I hate to say the community center because everything, bunches up with Danny and them, or the library or something. Has there been any discussion about that?
Well, great question. There has been some conversation about that. We would like to roll that out in the future. I don't want to speak for the finance staff, but there are some limitations at this time as far as the point of sale situation. Down the road, we might be able to sell passes at Walmart, at Safeway, at locations like that. Grocery stores are usually good venues. They get a little cut of the action, and then it's for the convenience of the rider. Yeah, you bet.
Lisa?
So you talked about the coins, how some of these other cities didn't want to deal with the coins. So are you feel okay, though, with the $1.50 and the $1.25? I would imagine since it's exact change, it'll be okay. But did you guys kind of go back and forth on that when you made the decision?
Yes. I will tell you that there could be a downside to that because it's challenging. But even if we had honestly, I don't really carry cash that much, so I'd probably be someone who uploaded it. But I feel as though if we were $1, $2, $1.50, I think the bigger challenge is just having cash. But if TAC recommends moving that direction and council wants to do something where we deal with even dollars, these are the considerations that would need to be made moving forward. I'm not locked in on anything myself.
And Deb, and it's, again, you'll be kind of testing it, so we can even give it 6 months and see how it goes. But if you're saying 80% of the, people using the service now are using it, making their appointments online on the app, I would imagine most of them will be paying with that too. So, but yeah, I was just wondering. But no, I, again, appreciate everything you guys have done. That the advisory commission, I know Mike Henderson's here, and he has been there from the very beginning, Mike. So I'm happy to see the success and how well it's going. It's exciting to see. But the few people I've talked to that have used the service really don't. When I've talked about the fair that would be coming soon, there didn't seem to be concerns. They thought it was very reasonable. To pay that fare. So,
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
thank you.
Yes.
Matt?
Deb, do you have a sense of, I don't know how you collect the information now, of how many people are going to be reduced and how many are regular? And I'm also wondering, how many young people ride, just out of curiosity. I don't know if you can track that yet, because you're not charging, but.
Another really good question. Right now, when people book their trips, they're self-identifying who they are. So some people tell us they're youth, some people tell us they're disabled or a senior. It's all over the place. We have good numbers in all areas. Do I know the exact percentage? I can't tell you that right now. We will be able to nail it down once we do introduce fares, yeah. There are surprisingly a great number of 20-year-olds, I'm going to say, that college age. And then there are some high schoolers that are using the service of Vista Grande and Mission Heights. So they're coming home. Not a lot of them, but there are some regular high school riders.
But also, I think your fare structure is good. I mean, it's not overly burdensome, I don't think. We'll find out. And also, I was going to question about why you did the 20 and 24 trips, but you explained that, so thank you. But now I get it,
Yeah.
And just a thought, Deb, maybe there's a way to make it even change so that if somebody wanted to get a ride, it's $2, but that includes round trip. And maybe they don't take the round trip. And so, but it's still $2. It's still a good fare. It's cheap. And so then you're not dealing with change. You're not dealing with I'm
Yeah.
that's just my 2 cents on the fair idea.
No pun.
What point
Yeah,
taken?
sorry,
and,
no pun intended, so.
You got it.
One more thing there.
Go ahead, Lisa.
And Deb, and I know this is not for now, but maybe in the future, and especially with your committee, someone asked me from a particular neighborhood here, you know, if there's several people, you know, say especially summertime, you know, at, you know, community centers specifically on the west side, you know, is there a way for them to book the van at a certain time to get them to the recreation center if there's 10, 15 people, you know, young kids, you know, that would be able to go? Can the bus pick them up at a certain time and maybe pick them up from the rec center, but it would be more of like a bulk, you know, like the whole bus, or,
Bulk
you know,
rate.
set schedule. So maybe when you guys are looking through that, there might be some neighborhoods in our service area where we can possibly do that, especially in the summer months, holidays, you know, when kids are off school, to get them, they were saying specifically to the rec center or out to the mall. So I don't know if there's like something we can do.
We can certainly look into it. At this time, if a group of people, we do have some capacity issues, you know, we could never do more than like 13 at a time. But we can take a group of individuals from one location, they all have to get on at the same
Right.
location, and then get off at the same location. So we can do that now. And we
Sure.
do have small groups, like 4s and 5s every now and then. But yeah, if they were different folks and we were just transporting from here to there, if it's booked that way, we can do it.
But is there like a reduced fee or something like that, you know, for some?
Okay, we can
Something to
look at
think
that.
about
Okay.
in the future.
$2 both ways. All right, anybody else have any other questions for Deb?
Great job.
Thank you, Deb, good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Appreciate your work on this.
Okay, thank you.
And the committee too, so thank you to
Thanks, Mike.
to the committee. All right, well, we're going to stand adjourned. We'll take 5 minutes, so we'll start a couple minutes after 7. We'll stand adjourned until then.